Hey guys, Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. We're here at the 2024 SHOT Show talking about Berger bullets with Emil Praslick.
How you doing, Gavin? Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. This is very timely. You got a
It is.
375 bullet here that I'm very interested in.
Well, yes. So I consulted with the stars and the tea leaves, and somebody told me you were working on a 375 project. So we kick-started R&D.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we're really excited because as you may know, Berger makes two solid lathe-turned projectiles in 375 caliber. We have an existing 379 grain and a 407 grain solid.
Okay.
And solid bullets they're great for extreme long range applications.
Mm-hmm.
They have some advantages, such as they're less dense than lead, mm-hmm. so they tend to be longer, mm-hmm. and they tend to have higher form factors than a lead bullet does for the same weight. So you can shoot essentially a higher BC bullet at higher velocity.
Okay.
But they do have some drawbacks. One being cost. Mm-hmm. Number one, there's a lot of time, and it takes longer to make one of those. And they're made on these very expensive machines, these sort of Swiss turn lathes, and there's scrap involved. Mm-hmm. You have some scrap. You start feeding in bar stock, and so all those things, and they go kind of one at a time, and they spit the thing out, mm-hmm. and so it's a much slower production rate.
Gotcha.
So we've had a lot of requests, both from competitive shooters and also from the sort of sniper community in mm-hmm. the Army, for a conventional bullet in 375. Mm-hmm. So Brian Litz has had a design for a while on this bullet, and we are finally able to get the machinery involved. So we had to get new jacket. As you know, everything with the Berger bullets starts with the jackets, mm-hmm. right? So the famous J4 jackets, those are the jackets that we manufacture, and they are the basis for all of our bullets, our hybrid bullets, our VLDs, or what have you. So we had to have a machine that had a long enough sort of stroke length to make this very long jacket for us, right? Mm-hmm. And we had to get the right kind of copper stripping at the right thickness, because it's a thicker jacket. So once all those sort of logistic and engineering challenges were fixed, we were able to make the jackets. So interesting thing about this bullet, it's a 410 grain hybrid mm-hmm. in 375 caliber, and the shape of that bullet, if you were to take a 105 hybrid in mm-hmm. 6mm, which is a very successful bullet.
Are you kidding? It's absolutely at the top of my list. In the Dasher, in the GT. I mean...
So if you were to scale
wow.
that bullet up to 6.5mm,
yeah. Okay.
you get a 140 Berger hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
You take that exact same bullet, you scale it up to 30 cal, you get a 230 grain hybrid.
Interesting.
And we know that these bullets are all very, they have good precision, they're very stable through transonic and into
mm-hmm.
subsonic,
mm-hmm.
so you have good prediction. You take that same 30 cal bullet, scale it up to 338, and you have a 300 grain Berger hybrid, another very famous bullet, a very high performing projectile. You take that same design and scale it up to 375, you have a 410 grain hybrid.
Nice.
So we just, from that design that it's going to be successful. So we beta tested this thing with some very good shooters, some of our sponsored shooters, and plus Brian Litz extensively involved in the testing. Mm-hmm. And so right out of the gate, it shoots like a hybrid. So it's forgiving with regard to sort of jump length, and that is one of the things that's a challenge sometimes with solid bullets. They can be kind of finicky with regard to jump length and getting your setup exactly right. And it's tolerant just like a regular hybrid bullet is. It has good precision. Certainly, again, when you go up in caliber, sometimes you start losing precision, right? A 416 or a 375 may not have the same inherent precision as a 6mm, a GT or a Dasher or something like that. But they shoot very well and very stable all the way through. One of the guys we sent them to was getting consistent hits, within the standard ELR target size of 2 miles.
Wow.
and shooting sort of 10, 11-inch groups at 1,700 and something yards. So
That's insane.
Yeah, so 2/3 of a minute, or just a 0.6 of MOA, whatever, out to a mile or so, if you got the right setup. So we also tested it, since we know that a lot of the rifles that exist out there in cartridges like 375 Enabler, 375 Chi-Tac, they're set up for solid bullets, right? So they may have like a 1 in 8 twist. They might be a weirdo like you with a gain twist. And a lot of the chambers for those cartridges, for solid bullets, they have almost no freebore, right? Because where the location of the ogive or the bore rider on those solid bullets is all the way on the back of the bullet. Well, so we shot them out of those things. So we torture tested it. We shot this bullet up to about 3,150 feet per second, and it's surviving.
Nice.
It's not blowing up, which it can be a challenge to make bullets this large, because you're just stretching a lot of metal, and it can get thin, and if it's not properly annealed, and all these other things metallurgical that are above my pay grade.
So you're saying they're not just taking a drawing and scaling it up. It's about the manufacturing process to scale up the proportions of all of the different components, how the machinery is set up.
Right. I mean, and there's some wizardry involved in, like, okay, well, we've got a drawing of what we want the bullet to be. What size does the die have to be? And you have to dial in how much lubricant, what kind of lubricant. Do we have to change lubricant types? Because there's more forces and stress on the die and on the metal. Sometimes with really long bullets, you can get some folds or lines. We've all seen them in some of the long bullets, these little lines that go forward from the nose. So try to stay away from all that, because we know that the shooting public, that if you build it, there's going to be some weirdo out there, and I say that with all affection, that's going to use it in an application you never imagined. Right? So we want that bullet to perform across all those wide ranges, right? So so there is a extreme long range sniper program within the Army, within the forces, I should say, where they want a rifle that is 2,500 meters capable, and with high hit percentages, that would equate to every rifle, every weapon system has a hit percentage associated with the range, right? So you've got a 308 based system. They may have a high hit percentage, 80% or so, out to a certain range, and a 6.5 Creedmoor, 300 Norma. So they're trying to take those same sort of what we think is the correct hit percentage and extend it out.
Sure.
And so one of the things that they asked us for was an OTM bullet, OTM sort of match type bullet for that application. So that was another big driver in our development of that.
Interesting. So what are all of the different cartridges that you've seen this tested in?
So 375 Chi-Tac, 375 Enabler. I believe for the quote torture test, we had a 416 neck down to 375, just to get it up to those really high velocities, get up to 3,150 or 3,200 feet per second, just to see if it would survive.
That's a lot of mass to get up to that velocity. Yeah, and a lot of bearing surface.
And if you input the bullet and all the dimensions, we have a free sort of twist rate calculator on the Berger website.
Yes, used it many times.
And so it gives you sort of the optimal SG number. And so if you dial it all in, and the thing about using that tool is you always want to build your stability model in the worst possible case conditions. So you want to model your situation or scenario at zero, at sea level, at maybe it's kind of cold or whatever, and make sure that it works there, because as conditions improve to higher DA, you don't need as much, but like I don't want to build a whole scenario and buy a barrel and everything based on conditions at Raton, New Mexico, at 6,700 feet above sea level in the middle of the summertime. then I'm in Alaska in the winter, and I've lost some stability. So if you do all that, 11.5 twist is sort of the optimal twist. But again, we've tested it all the way down to 7 twist. out of these chambers that already exist with very limited free bore, and it's still performing pretty good. But if you wanted to build a gun around it, 11.5 is kind of sort of the optimal twist. And there is a relationship between, there's a trade-off always, right? So if you want to get faster than an optimal twist, you can get further sort of transonic stability out of it, but you may lose some precision.
Okay.
You might lose some precision.
Gotcha.
And you're also working that jacket a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. And you can get greater precision with slower twist barrels because you're seeing less sort of dispersion. All of our in the bullet itself. Mm-hmm. All of our bullets, when they're made, the quality control and the QA processes are to ensure less than 3/10,000ths of an inch of total indicated run out.
Yeah.
So you've been through the factory, I believe.
Nope.
You have not?
Have not.
Okay, we got to get you down there.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
in the jacket station, the guys have a series of mandrels, and they'll put the jackets over the mandrels with a dial indicator that reads into the less than a 10,000th, whatever, their millionths or whatever, and they'll spin the jacket, and the pass fail has to be less than 3/10,000ths of an inch of total indicated run out, measured at 3 different parts on the jacket.
Well, one of the tests that we do in our tested bullet stories is the consistency of the diameter and the consistency of the weight and the consistency of the length, right? And I think for the Bergers that we've tested, on diameter, the standard deviation is 1/10,000th of an inch.
Yeah.
So it's very, very tight.
Right.
I know that's not the same as the thickness of the jacket.
Right. Well, it all kind of, when you build things like this, you're talking about tolerances, stacking.
Yep.
Right. So you have to try to control these things as best you can. Where they cut the lead cores, the guys that run our lead core cutting operation, they keep a running tally. We use kind of like statistical process control measures, and they keep a running tally of the standard deviation of the weight of the cores. And the weight of the cores, the SD runs into the 100th of a grain.
That's crazy.
Yes, it's less. It's a couple of hundredths of a grain. That's usually what the SD is of the weight of the cores.
Wow.
So you have to, you're moving metal around. So, but that's why we tell people weighing bullets, the benefit you might get usually isn't worth the effort that you put into it.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But that's a totally different subject for another.
But it's all pertinent to the discussion around what does it take to launch a new bullet and, to scale up a design and to get the desired result. I like that you guys have done so much torture testing with velocity and with twist rate. And my barrel might be a little fast for this particular scenario, but we'll have to see what happens. And if I was going to build a gun around this, that one in 11.5 twist would be a great example for that. So, is this civilian and military at the end? Do you think this particular bullet?
I mean, look, I was talking earlier today with one of the guys that I worked with who was a special operations guy, and now he's in the industry, and he was one of the guys in the program office that said, "Hey, we need 6.5 Creedmoor as a platform instead of the 308. Hey, we need 300 Norma. Hey, maybe our guys should be training using really right stuff tripods. These bags that we see in PRS matches.
Yeah.
So all these, most of these things, it's not the way it used to be like 50, 60 years ago. Guys like you, competitive shooters out there, hobbyists, that drives the cutting edge of technology. And now it's the military that goes, oh, okay, well, that seems to work. And more of these guys are competitors themselves. They're shooting matches. They're understanding what works, and they're taking the lessons from industry and from competitive shooters and bringing it to sort of military applications.
Yeah, it totally makes sense too, because when you go to shoot a PRS match, you don't have to get your bag approved by a government agency. Yeah. And you can do your load, and I'm really glad to hear, by the way, that a lot of these military folks are doing things like PRS matches, because it's truly where the best shooters are going and where the most dynamic things are happening, you know?
I mean, it can be humbling,
Yes.
right? So, you know, you're like a big bad special operations guy, you know, full sleeve tattoos,
Right.
do 100 pull-ups, you know, run a 5-minute mile, and you go to a PRS match and you get smoke checked by like a 14-year-old girl. You're like, what just happened to me, dude? But it's great. It's great for those guys, and we try to support, obviously, you know, all those programs. They're very important to Capstone. You know, Berger, Lapua, and Vitavori, all those are very, very important to us, and we do support a lot of those military programs.
No, it's super.
We're fortunate that a lot of our products are included in some of the military programs.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Thank you, Emil. This has
Thank you,
been a
sir.
great discussion. And what I'd like to know from you guys is, are you shooting ELR? Are you shooting a 375? What do you think of these bullets? I'm going to see what I think. I'd be curious to hear what ranges you're shooting at, what kind of a rig you're shooting from, and maybe some details about the load that you're running. And I'm really, really looking forward to this. I'm going to hit a target at 2 miles.
We'll get you some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you want to learn lucrative gunsmithing like what I show here on the channel, including building custom rifles and Cerakote plus a whole bunch more, you're going to want to check out the Colorado School of Trades, schooloftrades.edu. Thanks again for watching.